this concern about stability is just the game, the format, or a combination? Because I feel like the format could solve a lot of our issues with how competitors view the game.
I will say the format is like 30% of the issue, actually.
Okay.
Because if you add the format being unstable, random seeding, FT2, then it's going to be complete chaos. So you can improve 30% of it and make it a little bit more stable, make it digestible at least. But as you saw in Rebel Bloomington, most of the sets, 5-0s, 5-1s, 5-2s. That doesn't mean the player completely dominates that player. I'm telling you, a lot of those 5-0s, if they played another FT5, it could be 5-0 the other way. Because 70% of the instability of this game is the game itself. The mechanics are broken. Parry is broken. Drivers is broken. It's just what it is. You can't have an overhead. You know how hard it is to see an overhead, Brian? Like, like a Balrog's overhead, and
very hard.
It's still your turn.
I wish.
Like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things, right? You need a B trigger for that. You need it to be losing to be able to do that. Here, you start the game. The game is like that. You start drive rush overhead, cancel, medium punch, overhead again. I'm plus.
Right.
Strike throw, high low, drive impact. Like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
And I can't block. If I block, I lose my meter. The game, it's 70% of the instability. But you're right. The format does. It panders to the chaos. It's like, bro, if we're gonna play this game that's so unstable, at least give me a reliable format. That game should be FT3 in every single tournament. And we're playing FT2 in Capcom Cup. You feel me? So yeah, the format will definitely help.
So you just heard that from Mena RD. Now, you hear a lot of this a lot. People talking about how broken Street Fighter 6 is, the things that they would change, drive, rush, parry, blah, blah, all this other stuff. But the thing that makes it interesting when you listen to Mena RD talk about it is later on in this video, he talks about his training and his schedule, how he actually prepares for these events and stuff like that. He talks about how he studies athletes, how he goes and he studies the mental mind games when it comes to certain players. He studies their patterns, their behaviors. He goes and he makes sure that he sees a therapist. He does all this stuff to make sure that he can be prepared to be the best that he can be at a tournament. But then at the end of the day, to end up losing to some randomness, to end up losing to drive rush, drive parry, silliness, to end up losing to just things that you just look at this game and be like, bro, this stuff needs to be balanced. It's hard. It's hard for these competitors. It's so much guessing involved that a lot of things can just end up being decided by a guess and just a bunch of silliness and a bunch of randomness. So, I mean, but I think this is just the way that fighting games are going. Street Fighter V is the best-selling Street Fighter of all time outside of Street Fighter 2. If Street Fighter 6 can sell as much as Street Fighter 5 did, with Street Fighter 5 sold about 10 million copies, then I don't see them going in an opposite direction. If Tekken 8 ends up selling more than Tekken 7, which is the highest-selling Tekken of all time, I don't see it going in an opposite direction. This is one of those issues. If people really want stuff to change, you're gonna have to speak with your dollars. This is not gonna, like, you can't allow it to be like the best-selling fighting game of all time, because if it does, money talks. It doesn't matter if the FGC doesn't like it. It doesn't matter if it's like the competitive scene is not what it used to be. If things aren't as honest as they say the latter years of Street Fighter 5 was. You paid the money, they got their money. This is what it's gonna be. So this is kind of like a situation. I mean, if you don't like the way fighting games are going, we're gonna have to show that we don't like it by not paying for it, by not supporting it with our money. But if it ends up being supported, then we'll go in that way. So, how do you guys feel about what he said? I mean, like I said, this is a topic all the time that people talk about. Oh, Street Fighter 6 is busted, it's broken, drive rush needs to be changed, it's overpowered, it's just so much off it. I mean, you hear it all the time, but still at the end of the day, it's just gonna be a consistent conversation, because this is the era that we're in. The era is constantly changed. There's conversation that comes with each era. It is what it is. You guys let me know how y'all feel.